Hello, everybody. This is Don Markland with Accountability Now, and welcome to the Morning Jolt, where we give you small tidbits of data, information, and inspiration to make better decisions today. It's a tactical podcast about making today better today. For today's podcast, we are continuing our Job Hunter series. This is the second part, job hunting versus applying. But before we do, I wanted to say thank you to people who have been listening. The podcast has been alive only 7 days, and we've already had 31 5-star ratings on Apple, so thank you so much. And please subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave a testimonial. Those things go a long way. The response to the first Job Hunter series podcast has been amazing. I've had people send me notes saying this is exactly what I needed and that the LinkedIn Power Profile Guide was a huge help. So thank you so much. There's going to be more on that later. I'm going to give that out again. So listen in and let's continue to help. Today, we're going to be discussing job hunting versus applying, and there is a difference. And this is usually where people go wrong. When I was very young, I entered the job market when I was 14 years old. I got hired by a local restaurateur in my small town of Nephi, Utah. Her name was Lisa King. She was an amazing lady. She ran her own diner. It was called Lisa's Country Kitchen, and she hired me as a waiter. And I did not get this job because I applied online. Or brought in some resume or something. Our families, they actually knew each other. And I had been to Lisa's Country Kitchen many times, and I knew many of the servers there. And I remember on one particular day, I had just asked Lisa if there were any openings, which in fact she had one. And I got the job. And it was at that young age of 14 that I learned such a valuable lesson that getting hired really comes down to who you know. And I know so many people listening are like, oh my gosh, I know it's all about networking, but that's so hard. But it really is about networking, and we're going to talk about that. Now, I want to do some word definition here, the difference between hunting and applying. Here's the definition of the word hunt. This is from Merriam-Webster dictionary. Hunt is to search determinedly for someone or something, to pursue or kill for sport or food. Or in other words, to hunt is an act with an end result. Here's the definition of the word application. To put to use for some practical purpose. The act of administering or laying one thing on another, a medicated or protective layer. Now, I'm going to take some literary license here, but listen to those definitions again. Job hunting could be defined as to pursue determinedly for something, versus application, which is defined as to administer a protective layer for some practical purpose. So if you're job hunting, you're going to pursue determinedly until you win. That means you're a job hunter. Every day you are hunting. Or if you're going to just be an applier, that means you're putting up a protective layer for yourself for some practical purpose. Or in other words, you're lying to yourself. Well, I've applied today. I've sent out my applications. But you're not waking up early. You're not hunting all day long. You're not doing what it takes. It's a mindset difference. And you really have to attack it that way. You cannot be applying and hoping for the best. I hear people that are sending out 20 to 30 applications a day and hoping to get hired, but you will get nothing but frustration over and over again. Stop that. Albert Einstein has that famous quote where he said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I believe if Einstein were alive today, he would adjust that quote and say insanity is applying for jobs online and expecting to get an interview. That's what he would say. And the reason why is companies all over the world are now using ATS software. That stands for applicant tracking software. This helps them systematize and speed up the entire hiring process. But the trouble from an applicant standpoint is it makes it nearly impossible for your resume to have any impact on the organization. It just goes into this machine and it becomes a number. There's really only one way to get through, but it's not shocking. It shouldn't surprise you. It's the same method that's been used for decades. And it's the same one I used when I was 14 years old at Lisa's Country Kitchen, and it's basic networking. And even LinkedIn's Easy Apply, it's not easy. It's a lie. That's an ATS software. Don't trust it. Be smarter than the machine, folks. Don't be an applier, be a hunter. Hunters eat. Appliers don't. And in today's age, with something like LinkedIn, networking is even easier than you realize. And don't worry, I'm going to teach you how here in a second. But I'm going to give you some statistics, so lean in. How important is networking? I know you all know these. So many jobs never go listed. They're not even out there. According to Business Insider, at least 70% of jobs are never even listed online. One LinkedIn survey shows as many as 85% aren't listed. One of the major reasons that networking is such an effective way to get a job is that there is something of like this hidden job market. They say that getting a referral for a job opening can get you a 40% higher chance of getting the job. 40%. Networking isn't just a good way. It is the best way to get an internal referral to get a job. You have to get connections inside the company. And if you're a hunter, that's your mentality. It's your whatever it takes mentality. Now, I've discussed the Net Plus Work process on different podcasts, and I've written about it on Forbes. I'm going to put links to those in the show notes so we don't bore you with all that information here. But I'm going to just discuss a basic step-by-step process about what to do on the job hunt. Now, step number 1. When you've conducted a job search and found a job that you believe and know that you are a perfect fit for, either on LinkedIn, Indeed, or referral, or something else, your first step is do not apply. I'm going to repeat that. Do not apply. That's step 1. Actually, go search for the company in your LinkedIn search bar and see what connections do I have? What second connections do I have? And find those people. Step number 2, connect with those people. If you have a first connection, connect with them. Say hi. And I'll tell you what to do in a second. If you only have second connections, try to connect with those second connections and make them first connections. You want people that you're applying for to be connected with them. Also connect with the people inside that organization in the level of expertise that you're going for. And as a note, I don't like ghost connections. I usually put a note in the connection request that says something like, hey, I'd love to connect with you. I think you're an expert in the field, or I love your company. Once they connect with you, this is step number 3. Once they connect with you, respond. Hey, thank you for accepting my connection. My name is X, and I was reaching out because I was sent information about blank job at your company, and I wanted to learn more about the company before I apply. I'd love to get your perspective about, and now insert some information about some things the company just did, or some information that this person just posted on, or some things that they just said. Be complimentary. And notice you're not saying anything about yourself. You're not bragging on yourself. You're not talking about your experience or how talented you are. All you're doing is talking about the company and asking them about themselves. People are much more interested to talk about themselves and their company than they are to talk about you. That's how you make those connections. And now step number 4, build the connection and let this organically lead you to either helping you apply via internal referral or through the standard process. Remember, you don't have to also do this one at a time. You can be doing this with 30 or 40 different companies at once. If you're a job hunter, if you're in full job hunter mode, I would have a spreadsheet out and I would have 30, 40, or 50 opportunities at once that I'm actively pursuing connections in, and I'm trying to weed down into the right appointment or the right interview and the right opportunities. This is what job hunting is about. These are mind opportunities where you are actively pursuing them every day and all day long. There is such a difference between applying and job hunting. Job hunting is sweat. Job hunting is exhausting. Your fingers should bleed by the amount of work you're doing looking for connections and looking for work. You should be making phone calls into companies trying to get with the right person. One of my favorite stories was from a person that I worked with at Amazon. Her name was Natalia. She came from Egypt. This was not that long ago, within the last 8 years. She came here and wanted to work for Amazon. So she found the global vice president of outsourcing at Amazon, found his email. And so she emailed him and said, I want to work for you. And emailed him once and said, I want to get you on the phone. He ignored her. She emailed him again and he ignored her, and again and ignored her, and again and ignored her. And she wouldn't leave him alone. And he continued to ignore her. So she moved to Ohio with her brother. And she said, I'm in Ohio and I want to meet you and I want to talk to you because I know I can work for you and I know I can do good work. She would not stop pursuing him in an extremely aggressive way, appropriately, but aggressive about wanting this job. And then finally he said, okay, I'll get you on the phone. They get on the phone, they connect. 8 years later, she's a senior director working for him, running almost all of their call center operations all over the world. Be a hunter. Stay persistent. That is the way to win. Unemployment, as we said yesterday, is at 20% here in the U.S. 33 million people are without jobs. If you know somebody that's looking, you got to get their mindset right. They've got to be a hunter, not an applier. And again, I talked about this yesterday. You can go to my website, accountabilitynow.net/LinkedIn download. That's accountabilitynow.net/LinkedIn download. It's in the show notes. And you can get your LinkedIn Power Profile Guide for free just for listening to this podcast. Tomorrow, we're going to be covering the 4-step interview process. This is magic, folks. This is magic. It's going to teach you how to nail that interview so you can get hired. If you want more content, first, leave a review. Leave a 5-star testimonial. Subscribe on Apple or Spotify. You can follow me on Forbes. You can follow me on Twitter @DonMarkland or Instagram executivecoach.don. Go to my website, as we talked about. As always, check out my company, the greatest digital marketing agency in the world, 411 Locals. And this is your Morning Jolt.